What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rings and Things. I am your host with the most, Prowler71, joined by my good buddy, my pal, Ace. Ace in 603 over there, his little handle. I like that. You get me confused sometimes. You got Ace in 603, but then you got what? Ace 043 for your Twitch handle.
Well, I mean, there are dozens of us. There are dozens
Okay.
of Aces. So, Ace in 603 was taken on Twitch. So, Ace
Uh,
43 is my moniker on Twitch, but I am the Ace located in New Hampshire, hence
that's
Ace
right.
603. So,
That's right. That's right. Well, I just want to make sure we're getting all the names correct here because our loyal listeners out there might not recognize us who we are after we've been MIA for a little bit recently. We did
we
our
did
um,
disappear. Yeah.
we did, but for good reason. We obviously our last episode for those of you out there who either haven't had a chance to listen or you did listen, we interviewed the amazing, the wonderful Arcane Hemlock, who is just one of the best streamers out there. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please go give it a listen because she is just a delight, and we had a great time chatting with her. But since then, it has been just full time summertime shenanigans for both of us. Really, I mean, I've been getting my butt kicked by work, and then trying to keep on top of streaming and everything else. And I don't want to speak for my buddy Ace over here. I'm sure you've got a million things going on.
Oh yeah, gearing up for school coming back for the kids, which is wonderful. Maybe have some more time to actually get the things done during the week. But it was a lot of fun having the children around during the week. But I'm ready for my regular Monday through Friday routine to come back.
A regularly based schedule at this point. I
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's on top of that too, it's getting to be the, as I keep saying, the dog days of summer where we're getting to the nitty-gritty, the end of it here. We're coming down where August is going to be over soon. We're going to head into September. We're heading into the fall season. And I know a lot of people out there maybe don't resonate with this in the gaming community, but Ace and I are big old sports guys over here as well. We're the nerd slash jocks, or what I came up with it, not the jocks, not the jerks, the jerds. That would
Jared,
jerd,
Jared.
yeah, jockey nerds. We're jerds. So we're getting excited. I'm getting excited because football season is pretty much upon us, which is what a big part of who I am. I love me some football. Ace over here, on the other hand, is a big old hockey guy. In case you, if you're watching on YouTube and you couldn't tell with his little setup he's got in his basement, he's a little bit of a hockey fan.
Yeah.
So that's coming up soon, very quickly. But again, no excuses. We just wanted to let you guys know that we're still here. We're still thinking about you. We're still playing games. We're here for gaming. That's what the
Mm.
content is here for. And we're going to get into exactly what we've either been playing or what we've been doing lately. And for those of you that know us through Twitch, through everything that we, are on media wise, Ace and I have embarked on a little adventure that he decided to bring me into. We've been doing it what now for at least 4 or 5 weeks at this point, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And for those of you out there who aren't aware of what I'm talking about, we're talking about a little game called Baldur's Gate 3. And to give you a little background on this from my perspective, I purchased the game late in either 2003 or early 2024. Did I say 2003?
You did say
2023.
2003.
Oh my
I
God.
That was some advanced software, early releases you got
Wow.
there.
Wow. That's just predating the other Baldur's Gate at that point, I think. But anyway, that tells you how old I'm getting when I start forgetting the dates like that. It feels like 2003 wasn't that long ago. But anyway,
Does feel like it was
um,
yesterday.
I know it's crazy what's happening with time
We're
and
old
everything.
bastards.
It's okay. You can say it. We're old fucks. We are. I'll say it for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I purchased the game either late last year or early this year. I tried it out one time. I have never delved into the region that is known as Dungeons and Dragons. I have never been a part of that. The most experience I had with Baldur's Gate 3, I'm sorry, the most experience I had with anything Dungeons and Dragons related was the old school Neverwinter Nights, which, when I was younger, I jumped into, and I think I barely made it past the first act and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just clicking on monsters and trying to kill them or whatever was happening, and just like, yeah, this is fun. I guess I'm doing it right. But yeah, I wasn't sure if the game was for me. And then Ace was like, hey, you know what? Why don't we start a co-op campaign through Baldur's Gate 3 and you give it another try? And I'm like, you know what? Why not? I got the game. There's nothing to lose. Let's see what happens. And I got to admit, since then, I am so glad both that I gave it another chance and that Ace talked me into playing it again because it has been hysterical. It's been aggravating. It's been triumphant. Like any, emotional response you can get from a human person, I feel like we've experienced. Even including what is it, the horniness that is obviously shown in the characters. I mean, my character unfortunately found out the hard way that Lae'zel is a very what's the not dominatrix. She's something though. I can tell you that. My I'm pretty sure my hips got broken. That's what I go to whenever
Oh, she's a
somebody asks
power
me about
bottom for
that.
sure.
Oh, she powered a bottom, and I can tell you it did not go well for my character. So he was in quite a bit of pain after that. But I'm trying to dump her now for is it Karlak, the fire
It is
chick. So
Karlak. Yep.
so see, I'm moving across. I'm learning new things, and one of my buddies he called it the great dating simulator.
Mm.
Is what he called it at one aspect, which I didn't even know that was a part of it. Other than that, I read a little something about being able to have sexual relations with a bear. To which
Yeah.
I questioned my co-host here about that, and he replied no comment, which makes me a little worried about that whole situation. But
You're a bigot if you don't fuck bears.
I always go back to Super Troopers. Hey, bear fucker. Hey, do you need assistance? Oh yeah. Oh, this is not how I thought Rings and Things would start this week. But you know what? We're off to a hell of a start. So if you haven't seen Super Troopers, I apologize. There's a hilarious scene in that. Go watch Super Troopers. It's an
Go
oldie,
watch
but
it
it's a
right
good one.
meow. Go watch it
Right
right
meow.
meow.
Right meow. 20 times. Right meow.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey,
but yeah,
Prowler, what's
no.
the name of that
Oh,
restaurant with all the things on the wall?
you're talking about shenanigans? I'm gonna
I'll
pistol whip the
just
next
whip
fucking guy
you.
who's doing shenanigans. Hey, Farva.
I'm gonna go get a liter of
cola.
cola.
Does it look like spit to you? Ah, fuck it. Again, if you haven't seen Super Troopers, I'm sorry, you won't understand any
It's
of that.
fucking
But
local cops.
go see it. Go see Super Troopers
It's
immediately.
gotta
It's
be
like
on some streaming platform right
I
now. So
even if it's not, find it in like the $5, $2 bin at Walmart.
yeah,
The DVD bin. You can
exactly.
probably just dig through and find 500 copies of it somewhere. So, but anyway, getting back to what we were talking about with Baldur's Gate 3, it's been insanely fun, and I got to admit that playing it obviously as a noob has been very eye-opening with a lot of the things that you can do, you can see, you can interact with, like whatever. And I guess like a really cool aspect that I still haven't seen all aspects of it yet because it's my first playthrough, my first time experiencing it. But for you, Ace, I know it's really, really cool that he's still seeing things in the game that he's never seen before. And you've played through it at least what, 2 times, 3 times at this point, or maybe even more at this point. I'm not sure. But like if you want to do you want to talk a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
about how much
yeah.
you're seeing that?
Yeah, so I have gone through and beaten the game twice. I have countless other attempts at creating characters and like going out and trying other things, going in and doing honor mode, which if you're not familiar, honor mode in Baldur's Gate 3 is like hardcore mode in another game. There's there's no going back. You can't load another save. When you die, you die. There's no, oh crap, I didn't know if I said this, there would be irreparable damages done with my choice. Like you have to just roll with everything that you do. So I've done that. There's another character called the Dark Urge, which you can be. Not going to talk too much about that. I would prefer you to find that out for yourself. But that's one of the origin characters you can play, which opens up a whole new aspect of the game you've never played before. You can run through and play as the origin characters, who are some of the companions that you run into in the game, and you can play as them, which is a whole new narrative option to you. Different conversations pop up. It is such an in-depth game, and like Prowler mentioned, I've played Act 1 probably 20 to 30 times. And this run that I'm playing through with Prowler now, I'm kind of letting him drive the boat a little bit. I'm still running into things I've never seen before, which is just a testament to the love that Larian Studios put into this game and just the amount of detail. And like I said on previous episodes here of Rings and Things, like that was bar none my 2023 game of the year, and it still holds up, man. I think it's still one of the best games I've played this year too.
Yeah, it's for sure. Like I said, I'm seeing stuff that is just kind of like mind blowing, and my like for me, where I'm just like, wow, they actually really thought of this in the game. Like if you do this action, it causes this, and like you said, like the chain reactions of stuff where obviously I've died a few. I'm not gonna lie, I've died a few times, and we've had to load, I think, a save point because we walked into a goblin trap that just absolutely butt fucked us when we weren't expecting it. So it was hilarious. But then, speaking of butt fucking, there was another scene that I won't spoil for anybody out there, that you led me to a barn and I saw something I didn't want to see, which was horrific, but it was hilarious at the same time. So,
Yeah, with the
no,
bugbear. Yeah, good
oh
stuff.
god, no, I had to bleach my eyes after that
See,
stream
it's
time.
been fun for me because when you play Act 1 that many times, like, you start to learn, maybe an optimized route to go in order to accomplish certain things. And I
Yeah,
have to, like, hit the brakes a little bit because I want you to still experience the game as, like, an authentic first time experience. So I find it's one of those, like, fine lines. I'm like, "Do we go and do this, or do I let him walk us into a trap that's gonna fucking kill us and waste the last 30 minutes of our time?" It's been a fun time. If you're interested in checking it out, we are continuing this stream between the two of us. Our adventure is usually streamed Tuesday nights, as long as there's not a vacation going on for one of the participants. So we will not be, this will be coming out on Wednesday, I think. So by the time you hear this, tune in next Tuesday. Join us on our journey. We would love to have you. And
that's
that's going to
right.
be
That's
on
right.
my Twitch account. That's on twitch.tv/ace043.
That's right. Yeah, some of us unfortunately have to go on a dreadful vacation with, for a whole week, which is just awful. And I know I wish I could just spend all the time playing games, but unfortunately, I think my better half would have my head on a spike, like we've probably found in the game a few times. If that was the option, I decided to go. I wouldn't be rolling any natural D20s or whatever that it is that to get myself out of a situation like that. So, but we will be back for like Ace is saying next week. I'll definitely be back in action. We'll be continue our playthrough on his Twitch channel, and it's an absolute blast. But speaking of like streaming the game too, we actually found out a couple different ways that if you guys out there are either streamers or thinking about streaming or watching streams, we found out I want to say almost like difficult way that if you're planning to do streams with your friends, especially with co-op games or what have you, the new Twitch companion streaming function that they have, kind of just a forewarning. It's not the best setup in the world. So take that with a grain of salt because, like I said, we didn't spend a ton of time playing with it. We wanted to try and just set it up the first time where we were both able to stream for our individual streams, and the camera was just horrific. We play with it, and you can get both cameras on the screen to have it so you're both there, but it was just so distorted, so pixelated, it was just not worth it. But obviously a lot of the different programs and software out there have it where you can share a camera with somebody else and put it into your individual stream, which is why we've pushed it now where I like to take the night off. Ace streams it, but I'm able to appear on his stream while we're playing through it. So it's almost like we're both streaming it where I send it out to my community being like, hey, Ace is live tonight, but I'm joining him. So it's kind of like we're both streaming. So it works out in a great way like that. But I just wanted to throw it out there that if any of you out there who are either are streamers or thinking about streaming, what have you, just be forewarned that I think it's still in the beta version, if I'm not mistaken, Ace, with the whole Twitch co-op thing, that the way that they do it. Um, but yeah, I think my co-host doesn't realize he's muted right now, but that's okay. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
it's
that's
okay.
what I get for multitasking. I gotta just pay attention to you.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
It's
called
okay.
Twitch Stream Together, and it wasn't
There we go.
really as good as we would have liked it to have been. The
Yeah,
video quality just wasn't where it needed to be for us to do what we wanted to do. But I'm optimistic that Twitch will get this squared away sooner rather than later, and hopefully we can get this live on both of our channels here soon.
absolutely. That's the big thing is Twitch is constantly making changes, hopefully for the betterment of the way that they're doing things. And this is definitely a step in the right direction where the co-op stream with that, it's really, it's a great idea. I think they have a lot more bugs to work out. And before we move on to our next subject, I really quickly want to just touch on how Twitch is working, I feel like, in a decent direction with that aspect of their platform. But then at the same time, I recently got an update on my phone for Twitch with the mobile app where they're trying to make it like almost like TikTok or something like that now, where it's like they automatically load your follower list and you just start the whoever's at the top of your list or whatever have you, it starts playing their stream. And then instead of like being able to pick and choose, you have to select a menu to pull down and pick something or whatever. And it's just like you kind of like scroll through who's live or whatever. And they're trying to market it as like a better way for people to find different streams or what have you. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of it. It's not working for me where I enjoyed being able to just directly search whatever I wanted to search, whether it was through a name, through a game, a category. I enjoyed that so much more than being like, here's a random streamer, just start watching them, where it's like, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what game they're playing. I don't know how I feel about it. Ace, I don't know if you've had a chance to check out the new mobile app with the way that they've updated it. I've been aggravated with it so far. I'm still using it,
Mm.
but it's just like they got a lot of work to do with that. I don't know. Have you had any experience with that yet
I
or no?
haven't I haven't really messed around with the mobile app, but I've noticed the new stories feature that they're adding,
Yeah. Mhm.
and it's like, guys, we're not Instagram. We're like,
Yeah.
I understand you trying to capture some of that vibe and everything, like the Snapchat and Instagram vibe that they have, but like Twitch is Twitch. Like we're here to just watch streams, and
Yeah.
if you want to follow social content, 90% of the streamers out there will have a platform in which you can do that. So now you're just creating
Exactly.
redundancy for me. Like you're
Yeah.
making me do management in one other place, and that's really not something I want to do as a streamer.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's like you said, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got TikTok, you got YouTube. There's a bazillion. We social media is social media for a reason. Twitch is more just let it be streaming. Let it be what it is and what it should be and what have you. But for those of you who follow myself on Twitch, you know that lately I've been playing a lot of the Sonic the Hedgehog games and crushing through the old school retro games. I played a little Super Mario 64, but uh outside of streaming too, I've been dabbling in a couple of different things. So I want to just talk really quickly about some of the games that we've been playing off stream. For me particularly, I talked about this before, and I don't believe we've had an episode since it's dropped, but the new EA Sports college football 20, I think it's 25, 24. I don't know, whatever they're calling it. College football dropped, and I regret to inform our wonderful listeners that I was dead on with what I thought all along about it. EA Sports is still freaking EA Sports, where I had such high hopes for it. It was so great to see college football back, all the new graphics and the way that like it just looks so good. And then loading it up and then playing the game, I was like, this is the game I stopped playing like 7 years ago. There's a reason why I stopped playing this game, because it just is, it's a fresh coat of paint on the same game that's gotten worse and worse over time. There's not a lot of features that are, crazy good or anything like that. Like it's granted, it's fun to play college football again because it's been, I think, 10 years since the last game came out. But at the same time, it's just the same crap that EA is known for, where they pour out this game that has no life, nothing to it, and you see the older games for the PlayStation 2 era, the Xbox, the original Xbox era, where games they had the ability to do things where you could like in the old Maddens, the biggest thing I remember is like you could be approached by an agent that's like, "Do you want to star in a movie?" And you'd be like, "Hell yeah!" And you have to like memorize lines, and like based off of your IQ or your awareness was how well you did, and it like influenced you in the games. Like that was like fun, like crazy crap that like they put in the PS2 games. And this game and for PlayStation 5 with college football, it's like I'm getting DMs and text messages from teammates being like, "Yo, bro, do you want to wake up early and study, or are you gonna sleep in and let coach catch you?" And it's like, really? That's what I mean, unless it's realistic, because I haven't been in college in over, I don't, oh God, it's been 13 years since I've been in college. But like, if that's really what college football is like now, count me out. I'm all set with that. But yeah, I don't know. College football is I was so excited. I was so enthralled with the idea of diving back into football and the video game landscape again. And I was very disappointed by where I ended up, which it's unfortunate. I don't wish that, but again, I mean, I was looking forward to Madden as well because it was like if college football went well, I was going to be that sucker that bought college football and right into Madden, and now I'm probably going to steer clear of Madden just because, like, fool me once, right? Fool me once, but it is what it is. The only other thing that I figured you get excited about this, Ace, for is
Mm.
last night after I dabbled in college football for a little while, and yes, I won the Heisman, I won the national championship, so woohoo, go me. I
That's
was like,
weird.
all
I'm
right,
hearing a lot of people online that are winning the Heisman, and a lot of people
yeah.
that are winning the college football championship.
Isn't it interesting how everybody who gets a
It's
game just
amazing.
magically apparently seems to do that no matter what?
Yeah.
After I accomplished my goals as, my junior did what he needed to do as the quarterback for, I think it's like the Washington Huskies because I couldn't go to Texas. They had too many good quarterbacks already. Let's go. Um, I was like, all right, I accomplished what I wanted to. I dove off that game and I pulled up the PlayStation catalog to see what they had. And I figured you'd be excited about this, but it was Star Wars Legos, which they have the Skywalker saga on there, which is supposed to be like all 9 movies or something like that, where you can play like the games from like all the 9 movies from the prequels all the way through the unmentionables that Disney put out. But I started playing that a little bit, and I know this might be blasphemy for some of you out there, but I've never played like the Lego games before, but I've always heard they're really, really funny and really, really well done. And they capture a lot of like the good stuff from either like the games or movies, whatever they're inspired by, like the Indiana Jones series and all that stuff. But I played it for probably about a half an hour last night for A New Hope, where you play as, I think it's like Leia at the beginning, and then you transition into the droids with C3PO and R2D2, and then Luke Skywalker when he's trying to catch R2D2 when he runs away, and you meet old Ben Kenobi and all that. And I was like, this is really like fun, just like running around Tatooine and all the, like the Lego stuff that you can collect and all the like puzzles and things. I was like, they actually do a really, really good job with that. So I'm excited to play more of that. Have you had a chance to play any of that stuff, Ace, or have you not dived into the Lego things as much?
So I've heard really good things. Just the fact that they do such a good job of honoring the original source material, but yet still putting that humorous Lego spin on it. And I played a few of the games that have come out, and I do really enjoy it. And it kind of like is one of those, just chill games you can just sit down and just vibe with and just bang out a bunch of levels and,
Yes.
collect all the colored bricks and press X to murder a bunch of monsters that just turn into bricks and stuff. It's a lot of fun and it's cool. So I also like it as a parent because it's a game that I can comfortably hand a controller and play co-op with my kids, which is a lot of fun as well. But I can't say that I've done a whole lot on that franchise, but I'm glad to see that you had some fun with it.
Well, that was the big thing was after the stress and rage inducing, horrors that college football put me through where, one game I throw for like 7 touchdowns and I'm king of the world. The next game, it's like, you're going to lose no matter what you do. And you're going to throw for 5 picks and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm ready to break my controller. So I'd like to play something that's actually fun now. Like, let me have some fun. And it was just like, I immediately saw that for Star Wars for free. And I was like, yep, that's a ticket right up my alley where I know I can have some fun with that. So,
Yeah.
on it's definitely a recommendation that like I said, I've only played like 30 minutes of it, but like you said, I could definitely recommend it to anybody out there who is interested or was thinking about it, especially like you said, for like a kids aspect too, because they do a great job where they took lines straight from the Star Wars movie where I'm like, yep, I remember that. And then, like you said, they
Hmm.
throw in the humor in there too, where it's just like ridiculous stuff where I think it was like the scene where like Luke was like, oh, asking Obi-Wan about his father. And it's like, you knew my father. And like Obi-Wan did like the like wasn't sure how to respond to him. It was just like, yeah, anyway, here's a lightsaber, like through the he's like, it's your father's lightsaber. And like Luke's like looking at it, like, what do I do with this? And it was absolutely hysterical watching that.
Yeah, and I mean, think of like when, spoiler alert, when Luke Skywalker loses his hand, like all he does is just unplug his hand from his wrist because it's a Lego hand,
Yeah,
like that kind of stuff. Like it's very humorous.
it is. It's very, very good. I can't wait to play more of it. But enough about what I've been playing. Ace, is there anything that you've been got going on?
Yeah, so I've been dabbling in the new season of Apex Legends, and I can hear everybody that's listening. Your eyes are rolling. Ace is talking about a BR that's been out for like 4 years. I have played a lot of Apex Legends, not as much as other people, but A lot of it. I've got, I think, like 17, 1,800 hours logged in this game. And what they've done is they've spiced it up a little bit here. And it didn't come without controversy. So the new season of Apex Legends has dropped. It's called Apex Legends Shockwaves. And what they did is they took some notes out of the other, games out there, such as Call of Duty, and they have introduced Guns Akimbo to the game. So Guns Akimbo, if you're not familiar with, that is dual wielding pistol type weapons. So now you're able to dual wield the P2020, which is a pistol, and the Mozambique, which is a pistol based shotgun. And it has brought a very, very fun dynamic to the game. And you land, you grab what was once a meme. It was always a joke. There was you land and you ping, oh, there's a Mozambique here, because it was literally useless by itself. You put
Garbage.
2 of those in your hands, and holy smokes, it's a different story now, ladies and gentlemen. But the controversy that I was alluding to. So prior to Shockwave being released, EA Sports, in their infinite wisdom, decided to announce, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and change how the Battle Pass works. The Battle Pass, which you guys have grown accustomed to for the last 3 years, we're going to change how it works pricing wise. So if you didn't know beforehand, if you played the Battle Pass all the way through, you buy it once, you would earn all of the premium currency you need to buy the next season's battle pass. So technically, if you buy one battle pass, you could have it for perpetuity if you're not spending your premium currency elsewhere for cosmetics. Everyone loved that. So it technically wasn't, you didn't have to pay to get all the battle pass stuff that it comes with. EA, like I said, in their infinite wisdom, said, okay, well, let's go ahead and introduce a new premium tier of battle pass separate from the one that you would already do. And the community revolted. They were pissed for good reason, man. Like, so they came back and they backpedaled and said, okay, we hear you. We listen to the community. We really value your opinions. And da, 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 da. And they said that they reverted it back, but this battle pass is still very confusing. It's not as easy to understand as the previous one, but still having a ton of fun. There's a brand new map. It's a really well designed map, if you ask me. It's a really large map, not too many bottlenecks where you're getting gate kept with the zone crashes or collapses. But still enough opportunities to like third party and escape. And if you're smart, you have a brain in that head of yours, which not many people do that are matched up with me that I'm playing with, for the record. But it's been a really, really great time. So highly recommend checking it out. Apex Legends, it's available on Steam, on the EA app, on consoles. It's free to play. You want to play some? Hit me up. I'd be happy to, play with you at any point. Additionally, you got anything else? Do you want to say anything else?
No, I just want to say, as long as you have a brain in the head, because otherwise, you can't play with Ace. That's how it works. If you have a brain in your head, or if you're listening to this podcast, in that case, don't worry about anything he just said. Keep doing what you're doing and keep playing with him and keep making him miserable.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate you. And if you don't have a brain in your head and you want to play with me, just wait for me to have a few pops in me, and then I won't care. Additionally, playing a little bit of Ready or Not, which, if you're not familiar with that, Ready or Not is a PC only tactical first person shooter. So basically, Ready or Not, from a 10,000 foot overview, that is a situation where you are playing as a member of a SWAT team, and you are going in, and really, honestly, if you really pay attention to the lore, you're going into some really vile situations there. And it's your job to go in there and break it up, minimize casualties as much as possible. Good night. I love you. And
I love you too.
And sorry, Mimi was just coming down.
All good.
And there's different game modes. You can play online co-op with other people. You can play commander mode, where you command your own group of 4 people, your own SWAT team, which is a lot of fun. And I've been streaming it on my channel a little bit here and there. Have a really funny clip where I accidentally tell my entire squad to go in and open a door, and it is trapped, and all 4 of them blow up right in my face. And I just kind of have a moment where I just look in the camera like, oh no.
that great that like, was it that meme or whatever? It's like the
Yeah,
chimpanzee.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Oh no.
So I got to ask because I obviously I watched a little bit of the stream when you were playing it too, but it
Yeah.
kind of gave me like not I don't want to say flashbacks because again I'm dating myself here to 1,000 years it feels like. Remember the original Rainbow Six they were very tactical first person shooters. Like I think I had one for like the Dreamcast back in the day before like first person shooters became like a really big thing where like you didn't even see the gun that you were holding. It was literally just like a crosshair and you were like trying to, infiltrate places and trying to be stealthy and stuff like that. And I kind of got like a very similar feel to the gameplay as like Rainbow Six or the was it Rainbow Six Rogue, whatever they I don't even know what they come out with anymore because I haven't played Rainbow Six and I think I don't even Tom Clancy. I think the last game Tom Clancy game I
Yeah.
used to play was like Splinter Cell or something like that. So I don't know how far off the path I am here, but is it anything like that or is it more driven on the tactical point of it or is it more like a first person shooter if you get what I'm asking?
So it's a little bit of both, right? I mean, you can absolutely load up and go ham, but you have to be careful because there are objectives inside it. And the cool thing is like the maps aren't procedurally generated, but the locations of the enemies are. So each raid is going to be completely different. So you can
Oh.
be, going into one mission where the obstacles are just clear out all the threats, save all the civilians. And you can be a little bit more, you know, open up, FBI, and take them down. But
Yeah.
there's other scenarios where one of the major objectives in order to clear the mission is arrest people. And you can utilize less than lethal methods in order to subdue the enemies. There's like beanbag shotguns, there's tasers, you have flashbangs, you have stun grenades that basically shoot little rubber pellets to, let's just be honest, physically inconvenience them.
Neutralize.
Yeah, that's a good term. That's a good term. So, it all depends on the mission that you're on, but yeah, you know what it kind of reminds me about, and I don't know if you played this back in the day. Do you ever remember playing the Star Wars Republic Commando series?
Don't believe I played that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, so especially if you're in the commando mode or the commander mode, sorry, you're able to divide your 4 SWAT members into blue team and red team, and you can command them to do different tasks. And you can also command them as a whole unit, which would be gold team, which would be combining blue and red. I don't know why they didn't just call it green team because that's blue and red together, but uh,
Makes too
art
much sense.
yeah, basic art knowledge aside, it is really cool because that game back then, Star Wars Republic Commando, you could do the same thing. You could command your individual commandos that were with you to go and do specific tasks to support you while you're still in there too. But long way of answering your question. It's a little mix of shoot 'em up and tactical stealth. Like you have an item that you can use to use a mirror wand to look underneath doors to see who's in the doorway behind you.
Oh, no kidding.
You can use wedges to wedge a door shut so the AI cannot open a door that you don't want them to open because the AI isn't going to just sit in a room. Like
Hmm.
they're going to react to noises that you make. They hear gunshots, they're going to go and try to help out their criminal boys and back each
Oh.
other up and stuff. So if you can prepare for it as you're doing a sweep, intelligence is, a prerequisite of that game. So it's pretty fun.
That sounds cool. Yeah, no, I'd definitely be down to check that out at some point. Now, is it free to play or do you have to purchase
It
that
is
game?
not free to play. It is a
Okay.
game that you can buy on Steam. I believe it's like $30. So
Okay.
it's not a full like AAA price game, but honestly, the amount of hours I've already gotten in it on just the commander mode, that's not even talking about co-op or anything like that. It's definitely worth it. They did just actually drop a DLC as well.
Oh,
So I actually was fortunate enough to get a copy of the paid DLC through my buddy the Young Beefs stream. I won one of his Twitch raffles. So yeah, make sure you check out his stream as well. But yeah, check out Ready or Not. I would love for you guys to check that out and support that developer. They've made a really great game.
nice. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I think we've yammered on enough about the games that we've been playing lately. I want to ask my good buddy over here, what are we looking forward to in terms of like what you got going on for I know we're going to talk a little bit later on about upcoming games, but I got one on the list here that I think you're going to be excited to talk about. World of Warcraft. They got a new expansion coming out. What do we know about that? And are you going to be playing it? Is what I want to know.
Yeah, yeah. So if you don't know, World of Warcraft is one of the games that I've played since vanilla. So I grew up, I've talked about this before. I grew up playing MMOs. I was behind a keyboard on a PC playing an MMO when I was in first grade, 7 years old, just shit talking these grown ass sweaty men. Um, it was a great time back in EverQuest. Anyways, played World of Warcraft a long, long time. Say what you want about it. Like retail has its own problems. It's been around for so long that there are stories that just don't make sense anymore. But it still scratches that itch for me, man. I still love the world of Warcraft. I love Azeroth. I love everything about it. And they're doing a lot of things with this expansion that are really interesting. So I confess that I have already bought the expansion and I have bought it for the early access. So I'll be jumping in this week. It's going to drop on the 22nd, I believe. It's called World of Warcraft: The War Within, and they've done some really nice quality of life things for this. In addition to releasing new zones, new raids, new dungeons, there's a new allied race you can play as the Earthen Dwarves, which is pretty cool. But they've done some cool quality of life things, such as they've introduced what's called war bands. So historically speaking, when you think of an MMO, you think of each character to be kind of like siloed, right? There's not a lot of interactivity between your multiple characters. They're all just different versions of yourself in their own little world. You know, what Warbands allows you to do is instead of having to replicate certain achievements on a character by character basis, you do it on one character, you reap the rewards on all of your characters,
Oh, that's
which is
cool.
really cool. The transmogrification system in World of Warcraft, that's something that a lot of the collectors and the mid maxers people like to do. And what that is you go out and just you get gear and you don't actually wear the gear for the stats. You just wear it because it looks cool and
Mm.
match it with other stuff. So you go out and loot the gear and then you're able to save that item. Historically speaking, you had to do that on a character by character basis. Now with the War Within, you're able to do that with just your warband. So one character loots a really awesome piece of gear that you've been chasing. You don't have to worry about going and getting that awesome plate shoulder pad on your paladin if you looted it on a mage that can't even wear it. You have it unlocked for everyone, which is really, really cool. Additionally, there's a warband bank. So you don't have to send all those items to a bank alt. You can just share a bank with all of your characters, which is really, really awesome. So I really like the quality of life stuff. The other thing that they did, which I think is pretty cool, is for the people that are a little bit more casual and maybe don't like to interact with other people that much. It's a massively multiplayer online game, but what Blizzard Entertainment has done, and Xbox, by the way, because they're an Xbox company now. What they have done is they've introduced a feature called Delves, and Delves are a way to enjoy some PvE content, so like dungeons, without actually having to interact with other toxic players. You'll have AI companions that will be joining you and your
Oh.
group, playing a role such as tank or DPS or heal, and just filling in the group composition and just interacting with you like they're a regular player. And they actually will do some cool things like respond in an RP way in the scenario that they're in. And like they go into a cave. Wow, this cave is dark. You have a dwarf guy with you. Oh yeah, I need to drink more ale before we go deeper in this cave and that kind of stuff. So if you like to play solo, it's a great way to experience the game and still get decently high end rewards and enjoy the game. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to dive into the War Within this week. And if you're doing that, let me know.
That's actually I hope that becomes a mainstream thing for a lot of MMOs. I'm really glad that you talked about that. And I really hope it's successful and it works out because that's a big thing for me personally, is like I do enjoy my occasional MMO experience here and there. And I played some Elder Scrolls Online. I'm trying to think. Like I was in Guild Wars 2 back in the day. I've dabbled in a whole bunch of them. And that was always one big thing that drove me nuts when it comes to massive multiplayer online is you always, at the end of the day, you have to join a guild, you have to rely on people, you have to, it's almost like an extra job, right? Where you have to log in, you have to do all the stuff in a day, blah, 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 take care of all the stuff. And it's just, I get fed up where I want to play games either when I want to play them or maybe I'm playing in a time that doesn't convenience everybody else or whatever. And it's like if I like that's one thing and I know I'm beating a dead horse here because I feel like we always turn back to Bungie and Destiny and how they massively failed with so much shit. But like that was one thing that drove me nuts about Bungie and the Destiny issues back in the day was the raids were probably the coolest fucking content in the game. And unless you had 5 other people that were dedicated to spend the next like 5 hours of their life battling with you throughout the raid, you weren't going to either A, defeat it, or you B, weren't going to be able to do it at all, which sucks. And that was back way before, you know, like I remember people like had to make like specific apps for like uh what was it, Destiny back in the day to like try and meet up with
Yeah.
like people
Yeah, I
to
think
do
I
raids
joined
and
Destiny LFG or whatever. It was an app on
yeah,
my phone.
that's what I mean is like the fact that we actually like people had to go and create that stuff where it's not just an integral part of the game where it's like if you don't have 5 people, especially in this day and age where people are so consumed with everything going on or families or anything else, like it's not fair to ask people to spend that amount of time, especially where if you're in different time zones. And that's a big thing too, is like if I got a buddy that's halfway across the planet that's passed out in the middle of my day when I'm able to play the game, I should still be able to partake in what I want to play in that game, regardless of its MMO status or what have you. So I really, really, for the sake of gaming going forward, I hope that that really works out well for World of Warcraft, and I hope it gets knocked out of the park, and more studios or developers or whatever are able to add that aspect going forward because I think that would be just phenomenal all around, and not just for MMOs, really for other games. And I know other games have started incorporating that a little more. I think it's like Fortnite has started putting in like bots in the BR, which is a whole nother discussion, but it's still a cool thing to fill a lobby, to get people playing, to get people going when other times it wouldn't work out like that. So that's really cool. Before we move on to movies that I'm very excited to talk about, like what's been going on movie wise. Is there one more game I think Ace that you want to touch on quickly? Where I think it's what is it, Deadlock? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you haven't heard Valve, little small indie developer, probably haven't heard of them. They've been working on a game for quite a bit now. So what they've been doing is they've seen the success that MOBAs have seen. They've seen the success that Overwatch 2 had, and they've kind of merged them together. And they've created a new concept, not necessarily a new concept. It kind of reminds me of a game called Smite, but it's a third person MOBA. But they've combined that with shooting. So Deadlock is a MOBA in which you have a choice of a vast array of characters already. I was fortunate enough to get into the beta here and I'm playing it. They've got like 10 plus characters you can choose from, all with individual unique abilities. And you're going out there and you're working on your last hits, making sure you're hitting these monsters to get the souls to buy from the store to power up your character, then to push down your lane and knock down the towers and eventually go all the way and take down the enemy base. So it's got a lot of familiarity to it, which I really enjoy. But it also has that art style that I think is kind of synonymous with Valve's games. It felt a little bit like TF2 or something like that as I was playing it. So I can't say much more beyond that because my play has been very limited and I've been limited to bot matches. I haven't gotten into the full play tests to do PvP, but it's very smooth, it's fun, and I'm really excited to see where Deadlock will go.
Hell yeah. No, I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for that whenever it's able to become public or what have you. So that sounds cool. And Valve is obviously for first person shooters and shooters in general is like they know what they're doing when it comes to online games, whether it's Counter-Strike, like you said, TF2, or like I mean even was it Half-Life Deathmatch back in the day? That was something that I used to put hours into myself before it got crazy with what it is now. But let's move on very quickly to movies. And really quickly, I just wanted to touch on the fact that I went and saw the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and it blew away my expectations in regards to what it was. Like I had high hopes going into it because, recently since Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been on a steadily decline, as I would call it, because it just hasn't been good material that they've been really working with, except for the exception I would say was Spider-Man No Way Home. But Deadpool and Wolverine, the way that they were able to incorporate Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's characters from the Fox universe into the MCU, the way that they pulled that off, and the way that they threw in all the cameos and everything they did. Again, I won't spoil anything if you haven't seen the movie. It's very hard to not be spoiled at this point because there's so much online now that's just pretty much the whole movie's
I haven't
online
seen
if
it
you really
yet,
want.
so
Trust me, I'm not spoiling anything for you, but it's very difficult to avoid spoilers. But it's such a great movie, and one thing that I really enjoyed leading up to the movie is my wife, Mrs. Prowler. She had never seen really any of the superhero movies really before our relationship, which I think is hilarious because they're just a lot of them are great, great movies, regardless of how you feel about superheroes or not. So she just got hooked from Iron Man 1 all the way through and watched the entire MCU. Now, I had previously tried to explain to her the whole convoluted history and past with the Fox rights, the Sony rights, the Disney rights, blah, 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 where different, studios own different rights to different characters. And so, of course, when Deadpool and Wolverine were announced, me being the superhero buff that I am with all the Marvel stuff, I've already seen all the X-Men. I've already seen the previous Deadpools. She had not seen any of those. She'd only seen from Iron Man through all the MCU stuff. So, of course, she comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, we need to talk." And I'm like, "Uh-oh, what's going on?" She's like, "I need to know what's going on for Deadpool and Wolverine." And I'm like, "All right, strap in. You got some more movies to watch," which I couldn't tell if she was either excited about or I was about to get slapped because I didn't show her the movies previously. But yeah, it was like a blast from the past where we started off with the original first X-Men, I think from the year it's either 2000 or 2001, and I can't recall off the top of my head, but like when Hugh Jackman is first introduced as Wolverine in the bar and all that stuff, like that first scene with him is just like, oh, it was so cool to go back and watch the original X-Men's. Like we watched X-Men 1, X2. I didn't watch X3 with her because I hate that
you
movie. I
really
think it's
like X-Men
garbage.
Origins, don't you? That was your favorite
That
one?
no, that between so I refused to watch X-Men 3 because The Last Stand was terrible and I hated it more than anything. X-Men Origins, I watched out of spite because I was just like, I made sure I pointed out everything wrong with fucking Wolverine's origin story. I was so angry watching that movie. Like, look at the potential they had here, and they just fucked it up. I was like, it was so cool, and then they ruined it, and I was so mad. Um, but then they redeemed themselves with, what was it? I know a lot of people didn't like the movie a lot, but I actually enjoyed the Wolverine. I thought that movie was pretty good. And then
I liked
obviously
it
the
too,
Deadpool,
yeah.
the Deadpools, and then Logan. So we watched all of that, and Logan is I think is a masterpiece, regardless of again superhero movie or not. I think it's just a great, great movie. The way that they end that story and how Hugh Jackman's character goes out the way that he does in that movie. Uh, so I was interested to see how they're going to bring his character back for Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, won't spoil anything, but you're going to enjoy the way that they do what they do in that movie to get him back. But that
Tell you
being
what though,
said,
I am so
oh,
goddamn tired of the multiverse stuff.
I
So tired of it.
I'm a mixed bag on that, right? Because I think there's limitless potential for what they can do with the multiverse stuff in terms of like bringing characters either back with different actors or what have you. Because I think, like, for me personally, and this might be a tough subject to broach a little bit here, but especially when it comes to Black Panther with Chadwick Boseman when he passed away from cancer back in what was that 2020, I believe, or whenever he passed away. For me, obviously it was horrible and it was just I couldn't picture somebody else playing the character of Black Panther because he knocked it out of the park in the movies that he was in as Black Panther between Endgame, the Black Panther movies, Captain America Civil War. And when they announced that they weren't going to replace him for the character in the MCU, I was kind of upset is the best way I'll put it because again, I know it's obviously a tough subject depending on, cancer is obviously the worst thing on the planet pretty much. So I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but like for me, T'Challa was such a great character from both the comics and the movies that I wanted to see that character persist. And I think the multiverse opened up that potential to have another actor join the MCU as T'Challa, but it didn't have to be from the universe that they're playing in the movies with Chadwick Boseman. You know what I'm saying? Like they like I heard a really really cool story with Michael B. Jordan, who played Killmonger, the main villain in the movie. He originally auditioned for the role of T'Challa, the Black Panther, and the director was like, "Dude, I love you, and you're gonna be in this movie, but we're gonna have you be the antagonist, like, and you're gonna rock it." And he did. He was phenomenal. He was a great villain in that movie. But like, how cool would that story have been if Michael B. Jordan was T'Challa from another universe and they were able to incorporate him into like the movies going forward? I just think that would have been like a really cool idea or potential that they could have had instead of being like, you know what, character's over, it's done with, blah blah blah. And I guess I know at the end of the movie they introduced that he has a son that they didn't know about, and that's kind of how they're gonna have the character live on. Which again, you can take that how you want it. I just there's a lot of different ways to interpret that, but again, I get yours to go back to what you were saying, how you're tired of it. Like there's definitely they're trying too hard, I feel like at this point to make everybody happy because they know that they've been on a steady decline going forward with the movies that have come out recently. And it's just like they're trying to do like fanfare, which is kind of like,
Well,
all
I
right,
feel like there's no consequences to anything that happens on screen. Like, oh,
yeah.
they can just take it back anyway. I mean, hell, they just announced the Doctor Doom that's coming out, and oh,
Yeah.
look who's coming back.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. That's
Like,
I
I
don't know
get
how
it in lore, and all the nerds are like, "Oh, it's possible because in his other universe, Tony
yeah.
Stark did this, and became evil, and now he's Doctor." Like, I don't care. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. He's a
Yeah.
hero. He's not a villain, and I don't want to. He's a great actor, and I'm sure he's going to kill it in the role. But I'm
He's
so exhausted of this multiverse shit.
yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you there because it's just like and that's I for me part of it that too is that Disney just realizing how bad they screwed up with the whole Kang thing they were trying to do with Jonathan Irons, not Jonathan Irons, what the hell's his name?
Jonathan Majors.
Majors, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, where they obviously fired him immediately after the whole allegations with, with what happened with him legally and all that stuff. So it's like they bet on the wrong horse there, which again creates a whole another convoluted mess because like how are you going to wipe up that slate and go forward with that and then introduce Doom and again Robert Downey Jr. like the way you sent him off was such a good way to send him off the way they did in Endgame. And it was just like, let it be at peace, let it be done. And then to bring him back, it's like you said, I mean, had he not played Iron Man, I would have been like, let's go. Like, that's a great choice. Let's see what happens. But like the fact that he already was Iron Man, I was just like, really? Like, that's the best you can do? I just, I don't know. We'll see what happens going forward with that. Like you said, Marvel is what it is. But if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, go see it. You're gonna enjoy it, especially if you enjoy the other Deadpools. The humor is just A1 sauce. They knocked it out of the park with that. And again, they don't do any disservice to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with the way that Logan ended. Like that character is still, phenomenal with the way they left him off there, but they do a great job of bringing Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine in that. So, um that's what I got going on for movies. Ace, did you want to talk about is it the If movie? I think that you wanted to touch on a little bit here, and then
Oh yeah.
yeah, let's talk about that.
So sat down this morning. Like I've said many times before, I'm a dad. I got two wonderful little girls. And obviously I'm a husband as well. So one of the rare times I was able to sit down with my family, we sat down and watched today's Ryan Reynolds themed. I was joking
Apparently,
around this morning that that guy is like the world. He just has the whole world in front of him. He's like North America's darling. But we sat down and we watched If, not It, not the creepy clown. We've already had that conversation done too. By the way, I mentioned this before we started recording, and Prowler was like, "Are you talking about It? Like you're just now getting?" I heard my daughters as they were getting ready to turn on the movie this morning. My oldest daughter's like, "You want to put on It? Like, aren't you afraid of scary movies?" And my 7-year-old's like, "No, not It. We're talking If." And it was a funny little thing to hear. But anyways, it's a really cute story. It takes place with as a parent, kind of pulls the heartstrings a bit because it's setting the scene, and I'm not going to spoil anything. But there's a kid involved, little girl that's growing up. She's 12 years old. Parents are going through some health problems. read into that what you will. So she's being challenged as an only child to grow up earlier than what she maybe would otherwise do. And she goes to New York with her dad, who's getting treatment, and she's staying in a apartment with her grandmother during this time, a place that she had been last probably when she was about 5 or 6. So she has these lingering memories, and she ends up running into some imaginary friends. And the creative vision that these show or the movie creators had on representing what a, you know, toddler or really young child would think of as an imaginary friend, and being able to bring that to the big screen was really really awesome and very very creative, and it was a really heartwarming story. If you have family, I highly recommend that you sit down and watch that with them. It's rated PG, so you have no reason to worry about content or anything like that. Ryan Reynolds still puts in his, very comedic style of humor. John Krasinski is a supporting actor in it. He does a great job playing the father in the film. There's a couple of other actors. Steve Carell is a voice actor for one of the imaginary friends. So we had a ball watching that this morning, and I would recommend if you like family friendly content, take a peek at that.
I think Krasinski directed the film too, if I'm not
Yeah, it was
mistaken.
created by him. It was created by
Okay,
John
okay.
Krasinski. Yep.
I thought he was involved with that a lot too, but yeah, that's two great family films that we just talked about. The If and the It. Yeah, if you love family films, it's a great movie as well. Killer clowns and all that stuff. No, I'm joking. Obviously, if you haven't seen It, it's not a family film in the
Hi,
slightest.
Georgie.
Oh God, no! That movie, even the original, the TV one with was it Tim Curry? I think was his
Oh,
name.
I
Was
love
playing.
Tim Curry, dude. What a great
Dude,
actor.
he was wonderful as that clown. I mean, he scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, and I involuntarily watched that. I think at like my buddy's house for a sleepover one time, and I was just like, "All right, well, I hate spiders and I hate clowns now, so thanks for that, horrific way to damage my brain when I was that young."
Yeah.
But
It's got to be better than the upcoming live action Stitch. I don't know if you saw that at D23 that came out, and the live action Stitch. Actually, I'll admit it's not like the original live action Sonic. He looks okay. He looks pretty good,
okay,
but they really should have double checked what it sounded like he was saying right off the bat. I don't
uh-oh.
know if you saw that come out, and I'm not going to reference it specifically. You can look it up on social media and find it for yourself. But it looks like he may come bursting through the screen and saying a racial slur. So, way to go, Disney, on that one.
Great, great. Well, that's a great segue into what we want to talk about next very quickly is upcoming movies that we're excited about, and clearly you're excited about the live action stuff. Actually, I aren't they so interestingly enough, Disney is making a lot of interesting choices going forward with a lot of stuff because I think they're coming out with Moana 2, which
They
full
are.
disclosure, full Moana 1, like family movie or not, like that was
Great
a great
movie.
movie. That was a great movie. Like I enjoyed it. Like The Rock actually killed it in that role, which is surprising to say at this point because
Amazing soundtrack, too.
yeah, The Rock, he's just kind of The Rock at this point. That's
What can I say except you're welcome?
exactly. He nailed it. But yeah, they're making Moana 2, but at the same time, they're also doing a live adaptation of Moana with The Rock as Maui and all that. So I just
Yeah, and Oli Carvalho, who does the voice of Moana, is playing Moana in that as well, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon.
no, but it's an interesting choice where they're making the sequel and they're also going for like not everything has to be live action. I feel like Disney's not getting that concept, especially with the reactions of what they've had from live action so far because personally speaking, like when they announced, I remember it was like Aladdin, right? Like
Yeah.
I wasn't against it, but I also was like I don't want to go see it. And I remember Mrs. Prowler was like, well, why not? And I'm like, because Robin Williams is my genie. Like he
Yeah.
always will be my genie, like regardless of what. And nothing against Will Smith. Like I don't care about him in either aspect. Like he's a good actor and he does well, and I'm sure he probably did a great job in the movie as a genie.
Keep my genie's name out your goddamn mouth.
But like that's the thing, right? Like is you don't need to retread that path every single time if and it's just it's again it goes back to society as a whole where we can't come up with original ideas anyway, but live action is not always the answer.
Yeah, and
However,
I don't
Oh, go ahead.
before you segue, I don't understand why they're doing it still. Like they literally heard all that terrible feedback about the live action Lion King, right? It
Yeah.
was not well received at all.
Yeah.
And what have they done? They have come out and just released a trailer for another Lion King live action film
Yeah,
about
Mufasa, right?
about the story of, and if I watched that trailer and I understood correctly, they're saying Mufasa was adopted and Scar was the biological son. I think that's what I got out of that trailer.
So he's a
Like
false king.
Scar, yeah, Scar rescues Mufasa out of a river. Like,
Oh my god. Why? Why? Just what are we
why are we
doing?
doing? Why are we
What are we
doing
doing?
this?
Well, if we can segue into what I consider good live action, which I want to talk
Please.
about really quickly is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I hope it's going to be good. Yeah, yeah, hey, that's me. I'm the Sonic guy. I gotta get hyped for it because I mean it's going into what is possibly my favorite game of the franchise, where they introduce Shadow and they're going down that road. And the biggest thing that I'm so freaking excited for is the fact that Jim Carrey has, as of right now, from what I've heard, is confirmed to be coming back as Dr. Robotnik or Eggman, whatever you want to call him, in the movie. Because after Sonic 2, he kind of like came out and said a bunch of times that he was retiring and that he was done. He didn't really have anything left to prove to Hollywood or whatever else. And I mean, I love Jim Carrey in general. He's like my favorite actor, but he's gone down a very interesting path, to say the least, spiritually, mentally, and all that stuff for the last, I would say, decade plus at this point. So I was a little nervous when he was saying all that stuff, and I was like, oh, they left it kind of like unresolved. How are they going to do that? But I'm excited about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That's coming out in December. And then to really quickly, just a couple movies that I'm keeping my eye on going forward. I know we talked about the MCU. They got the new Captain America coming out with Sam Wilson taking over now that, Steve Rogers is gone and Chris Evans has moved on from that role. And then, like you talked about really quickly, Ace, before we started recording, was they're coming out with a new Venom movie, which I'm very curious to see. This is supposed to be the final Venom movie that Sony is kind of doing their thing with. And that's a whole nother conversation to be had, is how bad Sony has dropped the ball in the Spider-Man villain Sony verse, whatever the hell they want to call it, where they just announced Craven the Hunter as well, which is like a whole nother. I don't even know what we're doing at this point. How you can't have Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man. It just doesn't make sense. And I know they're trying as hard as they can because they fucked up Spider-Man as bad as they did with the last time with the Amazing Spider-Man. But Tom Holland, if they can just get it to work where they can work with Disney and have that character be who he is, either leave it alone or continue working with that path, because that's the way to go on that. Really quickly, I don't know, is there any movies that you're genuinely excited that are upcoming, Ace, or are you kind of on the ins and outs of movies at this point?
I would say I'm more looking forward to, and it's not coming up anytime soon, but next year, TV series, um, Dunk and Egg with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is coming out, which is a novella from George R. R. Martin in the world of Game of Thrones. So very excited about that. Not super stoked with what Warner Brothers is doing right now with budget cuts across the board. It really impacted House of the Dragon this year, which I was disappointed to see, but still cautiously optimistic. Still one of my favorite universes. Really excited for that. And then keeping my eyes out as well for the upcoming Star Wars film, Mandalorian and Grogu, which also looks good. I've heard really optimistic thing that Star Wars isn't cutting corners with budget. There's rumors that they're returning to Hoth in this film, which would be a
Ooh.
lot of fun for the Star Wars nerds out there. But those are probably the two big things that I'm keeping an eye on. We do have a Star Wars series coming out soon called Skeleton Crew, which is pretty interesting. Skeleton Crew, the premise is a bunch of young characters, basically kids. I'm getting Goonies vibes, and grabbing a ship, and they are flying out in space, and they run into Jude Law, who plays a Jedi, who kind of takes them all under his wing and will teach them how to kind of survive and fly a ship. So excited about that. That'll be coming out soon. And then I don't know if you knew this, but this was dropped last week, Prowler. I didn't mention it to you before we started recording. I just thought of it. Season 2 of The Rings of Power is dropping in
Oh,
about a
that's
week.
right. That's right.
So, if you haven't watched season 1, we're not gonna spoil anything, but shit hit the fan at the end of that. They did their big reveal of who the big bad is, and it looks like season 2 with Amazon's ginormous budget is going to be a lot of combat and a lot of fighting. So, you can poke the hole in the lore with, Amazon bastardizing Tolkien's, content, but when you put that universe in a situation with the budget of Amazon and that much combat, I will be watching. And I'm sorry to those of you that I'm going to piss off by saying that.
Hey, no, it is what it is. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that's got to catch up on season one. I'll have to check it out and see if it's worth diving into, because I read the books and I enjoyed the movies and I enjoyed the Hobbits, like the way that they did all those. So I definitely want to jump into that and see. But it was interesting. You were talking about how Star Wars has got a couple things coming out really quickly before we wrap up today. I want to touch on a couple of upcoming games that are coming out, and not next week, but I think the week after, we actually have that new Star Wars Outlaws game coming
Yep.
out. So keep your eyes out for that. I know it looks very promising. Ace, I know you are very, very excited about it.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
excited about the price tag, man. I don't want to spend $100 on a brand new game, but I will get it at some point, and I will be streaming it on my Twitch channel. So keep an eye out for that.
is it 100 for standard? Like, is that what they're doing? I
So Star Wars Outlaws, I think it was for you to get the early access.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I was gonna say, is it
so
still 70 possibly for like normal release and all that?
Yeah, so
Because
69.99 for the base game. 3-day
okay.
early access, it costs 109.99.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that seems to be a Ubisoft and EA, thing that they got going on. Because that was a big thing with college football, was that you were able to get 3 days early for spending the deluxe, dumb, whatever,
Yeah,
duplex edition, blah blah blah. Yeah, and I saw something stupid stat that like 200,000 people, or I don't know, to 200, like probably a stupid amount of people paid that to play the game early, which shows that people are just willing to pay for what they want
I
at
did
that
it for a
point.
while. What can I say? I did it.
No, and it's fine. I'm not taking anything away from that, but it's just people. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. I gotta stop. I'm trailing off because I'm thinking of different things. It gets the gears going, and I gotta wrap it up at this point. But again, we're looking into games that we're getting excited about. Really quickly, just want to touch on these Star Wars Outlaws.
Yep.
I'm not gonna get excited about Madden because we already talked about how
Yep.
disappointed I am with them. Next month in September, there, for some of you out there that I know are very excited. Shout out to Burt's Bees. I know he was very excited talking about this in a couple of our streams. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is coming out, which essentially looks like Gears of War on steroids, from what I'm being told. And the trailer that I've seen, the gameplay, the action just looks absolutely crazy. And I believe that he said that it was originally a tabletop game, or possibly like a D&D type game. I know the Warhammer universe is like its whole other thing that I'll be 100% honest, I've never delved into, but I know a lot of
Me
people
either.
are very, very into that. Like Henry Cavill is very, very into that, and I think he's making like a universe movie wise with that too, which will be interesting to see.
Right.
So that's another one we got. They're doing the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, which for you Xbox people out there, you should be excited about that. And then just some other things that are coming down the chain here that I'm looking at. Sonic X Shadows Generation, very hyped for that in October. The new Dragon Age, the Velgard, which we talked about a little bit previously on this show before, is coming out at the end of October. And then I'm just trying to see here what we got. Diablo 4 DLC, which I might peek into. I played a little Diablo 4. I had fun with it, but I haven't touched the game in over a year, so I'm interested to see if it, makes anything crazy or whatever. And then just as a little joke here, I mean, the game that I'm most excited about, Just Dance, obviously, because I just got to dance, so we got to get that going. We're just going to be dancing when it comes out on October 15th, obviously. So that's that I think about pretty much wraps up everything. I know we went a little late today. I mean, we haven't been able to record in a little while here, so we wanted to make sure we ran late for all you lovely listeners out there who are still hanging out with us. But Ace, my man, unless you got anything else you want to touch on quickly, I think that's gonna wrap this sucker up. You got anything for me?
Nah, I think I'm good. I think I will keep an eye out for one other game that's coming out in 2024. There's no official date yet, but that game is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2,
Ah,
which is
okay.
another one of those fun narrative story based games. And it's very dark and gritty and violent. And you know, when I'm sitting in front of the computer, the kids are in bed, I can vibe with that.
Hell yeah. And then I just literally just looked at my list here and I can't believe I omitted this, but Black Ops 6 is also coming out in October as well, which I know is gonna be a Game Pass exclusive
A1
when
Game Pass.
there you go. I might have to pull the trigger and see what happens if. Well, actually, I'm gonna be hesitant because I pulled the trigger on college football. I learned my lesson. I'm gonna sit back and wait for everybody to tell me how terrible it is, so I don't waste my time on it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But for those of you out there, thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate and love all of you as always. If you want to reach out to either one of us, you can find our handles here at Twitch Prowler 71 on Twitter, on a couple different things. And then Ace in 603. And you'll find that on Twitter as well. And if not, you can reach out to us on Rings and Things Pod, which is on the Twitter or the X or whatever the frig Elon Musk wants to call it these days. I don't know. I can't keep up with the lingo at this point. Just know we love and appreciate you. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, direct everything to Ace. He will take care of all your problems. I'm just here to be your amazing host. That's what's going on right now. So without further ado, Ace, my man, I'll play with you some other time.
Wake me when you need me.
Later.
Peace.